Today, I want to talk to you about a great man. Now, this man fought valiantly, he fought bravely for his country, and not only that, he was a successful merchant and he was at the forefront of his own business. So I thought this was kind of interesting that he was not only a patriot, but also very successful. He was also praised by all who knew him to be a dedicated worker and a compassionate individual. However, this is not how we know him today. A little bit of his background. I'm going to go into some of the great things that he's done, and I want to see while I'm going through these if you can figure out who it is. So he participated in the first ever Oath of Allegiance as a sign of loyalty to the United States. He also achieved the rank of Major General and had the personal backing of the President of the United States at the time. Additionally, he was commended twice for taking a bullet to the leg and continuing in his war campaign. Additionally, he was called George Washington's fighting general, and everyone that talks about him recounts him in a good way, up until a certain point. As you can see, he has had a great number of accomplishments. However, that's not how we know him today. Do any of you maybe have a clue who it is?
Benedict Arnold?
It is Benedict Arnold. So, today when you say the words Benedict Arnold, you know him only as one thing, as a traitor. However, I thought this was kind of interesting as we looked at him only as a traitor, and I kind of wanted to see how this guy developed and how he ticked and what led him to the events that made him want to defect from the United States. So some background, he had some humble beginnings. Actually, that's a lie. He was wealthy in the beginning, and he was born of 6 other siblings, and of those 6 siblings, 4 of them died. So 2 of them were remaining, him and his sister, and this actually drove his parents to alcoholism. And as a result of that, they lost all of their wealth. So he did have some rocky starts, but he took that and he developed himself, and he became a successful entrepreneur, he became a successful business owner, and he actually ended up owning several trade crafts and merchant ships in the spice trade, which is interesting if you consider how he started off. He was destined for Yale, but like I mentioned, because of his financial situations, he lost that opportunity. And this wild success actually was brought to a jarring halt due to one fact: the introduction of the Stamp and Sugar Act by the Crown forces. So, with the introduction of the Stamp and Sugar Act, he reevaluated his life and decided that maybe he wanted to refocus his life towards the Sons of Liberty. And this actually turned out to be a good choice because his military career was illustrious and long. He personally funded his own 1st Battalion of troops, and many of the soldiers backed him up, and they actually loved him as a commander. He was a favorite of George Washington as well, and interestingly enough, became the commander of West Point, the military academy. And another interesting fact, he was kind of a womanizer. So he was married to the It Lady of Philadelphia at the time. Now, before I jump into some of the intricacies, I want to show you a small video.
Expect there to be no reaction. He has given everything he could to this country. They never paid him a penny, and I don't think anybody ever said thank you.
By investigating his life, by investigating what made him a hero, and ultimately investigating what perhaps turned him into the greatest villain of the revolution, we will learn what this revolution was all about and what it did actually accomplish.
So that's just a background to Benedict Arnold. Now, I looked at Benedict Arnold and I kind of saw a man who was not really a villain. I saw him as a human first, and then I realized that there were certain preconditions that led to his acts. It wasn't just out of the blue, much like you see in the other things, and I kind of related to him on a more human level. So a series of unfortunate events eventually led to his decision to become a traitor. So some of these events, he had stolen valor and fame for not helping the battle of Ticonderoga, where in fact he actually spearheaded the event. He lost his wife during the same battle, and on the way back he learned that, and he had to deal with that loss, as well as going on another campaign right after her death. So he lost his promotion as well because Congress was not a fan of him, and he was wrongly convicted by Congress of deceit, and was charged for the cost of the entire campaign, which was a large sum of money at that time, in addition to his It Lady wife accruing a large debt in Philadelphia. So he was in a lot of debt. So the combined effort of a lot of these stressors was the result of, was what were the contributing factors to him leading up to his decision. So it's not like it was out of nowhere that he decided to defect to the British forces. It was generally for a lot of reasons and a lot of stress. Now, this greed of ambition was revealed as soon as the British offered him the money to defect. So not only did they offer him £20,000, but they also offered him the position of brigadier general and a pension for life. So £20,000 is not a small amount. You can't blame him. That's about $3 million today. So it was a considerable amount of money, and this was the reason why he decided to defect. This quote I saw this quote and it really stood out for me. Money is this man's God, and to get enough of it, he would sacrifice his country. So it kind of gives you a picture of, it paints an illustration of what this person's about. Not only was he a soldier alongside Benedict Arnold, but Colonel Brown was also a cousin to him, so he knew him fairly well. And I think this is very representative of Benedict Arnold. But before we jump into the establishment that he is a villain, I thought it was interesting to consider the context of the time. Now, when you look at villains in history, you often see villains as individuals that perform morally or ethic actions against what normal people would perform. However, I think Benedict Arnold was perhaps dramatized a little bit in this illustration. When you say the words Benedict Arnold, you immediately jump to the conclusion that he's a traitor. However, if you look at the characterization of the time, it was a time of great patriotism. So 1773 to 1790 was a huge time for the American Revolution. It was the establishment of the Sons of Liberty, the Declaration of Independence. So as soon as someone decided to perform against these actions, then it's kind of a stark contrast between his actions and those heroes that we know today. Although his objective effect on the nation was not that great, by defecting, Benedict Arnold did not have that much of an influence on the war. However, we still see him today as one of the worst villains, perhaps of all times. So here's another quote that I read. One of the articles, Heroism and Treason, were juxtaposed to show the extent of Arnold's fall from grace, which I thought was interesting. In conclusion, Arnold was an established villain of his time. However, hard times revealed that his main vices were actually greed and ambition. So another interesting thing that I considered was that perhaps he's more villainous than other villains of the time, because dictators and other oppressors often think they're doing the right thing. For example, Fidel Castro took over his regime in the hopes of creating a new and forged nation. So his actions were inconceivable in the time period he was born in, but how about today? What if we thought about it in today's context? And you can read the last quote as well. Thank you very much.